We're also going to need to turn fractions into decimals, and that involves dividing. We should remember the steps in our standard division algorithm. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat. So here, we're going to take 3 divided by 5, noting that the 3 goes underneath the division symbol. Now you might say that looks a little strange, but we're going to handle that using decimals. We can't divide 5 into 3 evenly, so we're going to put a decimal point here and add 1 0, move the decimal point up, and now we'll be dividing 30 by 5. First step, is 5 divisible into 3? No, it is not, so we'll put a 0 here. Next, we would multiply the 5 times the 0, and we're not going to do that. We're just going to take 30 divided by 5, and that's going to be 6. We'll multiply 5 times 6, that's 30. We subtract, we get 0, and there's nothing to bring down, so we know that we're finished. We'll look at the same approach here. 3 divided by 20, we're going to take the 3, put it inside the division sign, and we're going to divide by 20. Noting that that's not possible, so we're going to put a decimal point and a 0 and move it up. Does 20 go into 3 evenly? It does not, so we get a 0. Does 20 go into 30 evenly? Yes, it does. It goes 1 time. 1 times 20 is 20. When we subtract, we get 10. We still have to bring another number down before we divide, so we would have to add a second 0 and bring it down. 100 divided by 20, that does go evenly 5 times. Once we multiply, we subtract, we get 0. There's nothing else to bring down, so we know we're finished. This one here, same idea. We're going to take the 5, put it inside the division symbol, and we're going to be dividing by 16. 16 doesn't go into 5 evenly, so I'm going to put a decimal point and a 0 and bring that decimal point up. 16 does not go into 5, so we'll put a 0. 16 goes into 50. Well, I know that 16 times 3 is 48, so I know that this will go in 3 times. And if you're not sure, you can always do these off to the side, but never erase them. You may need them later. Now I'll subtract. 50 minus 48 is 2. I need to bring another number down. There isn't one, so I can just make a 0 there and bring that down. 16 does go into 20 1 time. 16 times 1 is 16. When I subtract, that gives me a 4. I have another number here, so I need to now bring another 0 down. 16 goes into 40 2 times. 16 times 2 is 32. 40 minus 32 is 8. I've brought another, I have a number here, so I need to bring another number down. That number is a 0 that I've added. 16 goes into 8, and if you're not sure, you again can multiply, or you can even add on to this. I know that 32, which was 16 times 2, plus 48 will be 80, so that would really be 16 times 5. We can check that out to see if that works. And it does. So I know that 5 times 16 is 80. Once I subtract, I get a 0. There's nothing to bring down, so I know I'm finished.